Hi, welcome back to Cooking Around the World. We have a nice recipe this time. It's, can you get that in the shot? Yep. Rogan Josh meatballs. If you like a nice Rogan Josh down at the local Indian restaurant, there's a really simple way. You'll see how easy it is to make things like this. And we are using actually for this recipe, Patak's Rogan Josh paste. Make sure you use a paste and not a simmer sauce. The simmer sauce is just diluted quite a bit. So we're using the paste to make our own Rogan Josh curry sauce, which we'll get back to that in a moment. But we're going to make our meatballs first. I've done a lot of the preparation for this already. I've cut the onions, I've finely chopped, minced the garlic, finely cut and minced some ginger and zested our lemon. They're all going to go into this mince as we go. So they want about a teaspoon of ginger. That's about a teaspoon. I'll keep the rest of that. You can actually use, if you wanted to, which is a fine option, just bottled ginger if you want. Bottled ginger works fine. Bottled garlic, I'm not all that impressed with it, but I do use it if I want something done really quickly. I'll use bottled garlic. Bottled ginger is fine, but I had some fresh ginger here, so that we'll get into the fresh ginger right now. Using my microplane, I've just taken the zest off one lemon. If you don't have a microplane, they cost a little bit more, but they're worthwhile buying. Other zesters and graters, you'll notice they go blunt very quickly. The microplanes, you realize why you spend a little bit more for them, they last. So we get the zest of our lemon, chuck that in. We have to put in 2 teaspoons of garam masala powder. This is all available just on the shelves at the supermarket, or you can buy them in bulk at your Indian delis, Indian supermarket. So we want 2 teaspoons. Now be careful, this one, I've looked at the ingredients, it doesn't have, don't even know if it has any chili in it. Some of the ones you buy from your Indian grocers, they will have a certain amount of chili in them, and I've found some that are quite hot. So just be careful with that. Garam masala is just a mix of all the different spices, cardamom, cumin, coriander, nutmeg, that's all of them in one hit. Okay, now the recipe asks for a handful of mint. I've finely diced the mint, and 1 clove or a teaspoon of garlic. And I have some more onion, garlic and ginger, which will go into the sauce when we get down to making the sauce. Okay, that's all on board. One more thing we need to do. Need to throw in some breadcrumbs. Half a cup of breadcrumbs in this case. Just standard dried store-bought breadcrumbs. I'll generally have breadcrumbs in the freezer. Whenever I have any bread left over, any bread rolls, I let them dry out, hit them with my blender and turn them into crumbs, chuck them in the freezer, they last forever. But for the sake of the exercise, we're using store-bought breadcrumbs in this recipe. Now comes the fun part. You got to do this part. I'm not putting an egg in this. If you keep working this, you work it down, scrunch it down nice and tight, these meatballs will hold together with it without a problem. You hear me? I'll always do a little taster, not raw. I always do a little taster on the meatballs just to check that I've got the correct seasoning into the mince mixture. That's as I'm working it now, it's tightening up. And I'll put a little bit of seasoning in right now. That's about half a teaspoon of salt and good grind of pepper. As I said, if you keep working this, it'll tighten the meatballs up and help them to hold together when you cook them off. And we will brown these off. Okay, I'll set up the cooker and with a fry pan, and we'll come back in a few moments. Okay, we just set up the cooker, did a quick sample, little piece, cooked it up. Spices, the seasoning spot on with there. Just enough salt, you can taste it, which is all you want to do. You don't want to make them overly seasoned, overly salty, because remember we're going to have a big flavour off this curry sauce at this stage, the curry gravy. So excellent. We're going to start rolling up some meatballs here. Wash your hands or wet your hands. I reckon about that big. Now we're going to make I don't like making monster meatballs for these things, more bite-sized ones. But you will make a lot. It does require a little bit of work to brown them all off, but worth the effort. In these times of lockdown, what else have we got to do? I say, Jackie?
Not much.
Except make cooking videos.
Or eat.
Eat. Okay, I'll keep going ahead with these, just rolling our meatballs. Then we'll set up the cooker again, and we'll come back to you. Okay, we've got all our meatballs rolled, and Jackie rolled up her sleeve, and we got into it. It's good to make this a sort of family affair, really, isn't it, Jackie? Yeah, she loves cooking. Okay,
Goes into my nails.
So we're just going to get all these into the pan. Probably do these in 2 batches. I don't want to overcrowd the pan because it'll take too much heat off the oil. Tightening up. As I said, there's no egg in this, and hopefully these should all hold together through their cooking process. Just go about half the plate. Yeah, Jackie, these are all the actions happening. Get the oil all around the pan, get it all in. Oh, that little one's coloured up nicely. That's just a little bit of another tester. As I said, I always, before I get to this stage, before I do the final rolling of the meatballs, I got the pan warm, checked a little bit just to check the seasoning. There's nothing worse than having all the meatballs rolled up, then you try one and it's under-seasoned and flavourless or whatever. With this, the mint, the lemon zest, a little bit of salt, the garam masala, the flavours all work so well to give these a nice flavour. Now you don't have to cook these through totally. All we're going to do is give them a little bit of colour at this stage. They'll finish cooking through when they go into the curry sauce. We'll get the curry sauce up and running, put the meatballs into it, give them another, say, 20 minutes on top, which will finish cooking the meatballs through to the centre. Don't want to overcook them and dry them out. So we'll get these rolling, get them all fried off, and then we'll come back and get on to the next step, which is making the curry sauce and refloat our meatballs back into the curry sauce. See you then. Okay, we've got all our meatballs browned off. As I said, don't overcook them. They're just quickly done on both sides, but I didn't go all over them. I didn't leave them on too long because you don't want to dry them out too much. They will finish their cooking off in the sauce, and that way they'll stay nice and moist. Now, 1 onion into the same pan. Now this is a very, very simple curry sauce. If I'm making a normal curry at home, I'll start with all sorts of seeds and leaves and cloves and all sorts of things, and flavour up the oils and bring it up at different levels. This one's just a nice, simple one, and it works beautifully. Just going to give our onions a little bit of colour. Before we put the garlic in, I never put the garlic in too early, because otherwise the garlic will burn, and when garlic burns it goes bitter. So this is, when you're cooking the onions off like this, it'll actually take a little bit of the heat off the pan. There's a bit of cooking science for you, Jack. It'll take it'll take a little bit of the heat off the pan when you put the garlic in, and it won't burn it. Won't burn it at all.
I'll remember for next time.
You should have seen that in all the cooking shows I watch, Jackie. I always talk about it. Yeah. Oh, right, I've already minced up my garlic fairly finely. The ginger. This is actually not on the recipe as such, it's just left over from what I had cooked, what I had minced earlier. But one of the main ingredients of any curry sauce is onions, garlic, ginger. That's the basis for any curry. Just give that a few moments to cook that garlic out. Now get my tomatoes ready. Just a tin of diced tomatoes. Made sure I've got diced tomatoes this time. Yes, they're diced tomatoes. And also we're going to use some coconut milk. Amazing enough, cans that don't have ring pulls on them. So remember these things? Don't see them very often these days. Just starting to get a bit of colour on those onions now, which is good. Oh, the garlic and the ginger, yeah. Okay. Get our, is that where we run this one? Let me just check. Lucky I checked. About 1/4 cup of good old Patax. On all supermarket shelves, easier to get. If you have a brand of Rogan Josh paste or curry sauces that you like, use whatever you want. I'm just using this because it's readily available on shelves. By the way, this recipe is called Rogan Josh Meatballs. You can use tikka sauce, you can use whatever curry paste you like in these. You can make it whatever you want. And we're using beef mince, but you could do it with lamb mince, you could do it with chicken mince. Oh, the choices. Okay, about 1/4 cup. About 1/4 cup. Maybe a little bit more, but that's fine. The thing with the Patax curry paste is that they're not too chili hot, not too spiced chili hot. And if you want to make it hotter, and you're using Patax, just add a big pinch of dried chili flakes or some chili powder. You can take it up to as hot as you like to have it. Maybe cut up a few chilies and chuck them in if you're brave. Because with some Indian recipes you'll see they'll add a couple of teaspoons of chili powder, a few chopped up chilies, and then add some cayenne pepper and a fresh chili chopped in over the top of the dish at the end. No, even I can't take them like that. Okay, I'm just cooking my paste out here at the moment. In the paste you've got all the ingredients. We're now just cooking them out a little bit, make them aromatic, get the oils out of all our ingredients. And it's already smelling beautiful in here. Okay, so a quick look. Tomatoes, yes, here we go.
Not diced.
They're not diced, Jackie.
No.
Fell for that one again, didn't we? Twice in 1 week, huh? Whoop. I've got one of us there. You can shoot down here. I'm not going to, hopefully, cause any more drama. I've got to break the rest up this. Try to make sure you have diced tomatoes, folks. And we'll break those tomatoes up a little bit more with the spoon. Turn that down, that's come up to a nice boil. So we want to take this down, just start to simmer it down a little bit as we go here, which will enhance the flavours. Okay. Once again, we'll season this. That's about half a teaspoon so far. Now I'm going to add some coriander. This is frozen chopped coriander. Whenever I buy coriander, if I have coriander left over, I will chop it up. You wash it, dry it in the salad spinner over, chop it up and freeze it, and then you can just chuck it into your next curry just like this. Okay, just cook that through. The coriander is a little addition of mine because I always love to have coriander. I love the flavour. If you don't like coriander, just disregard that step. Gary. But I love coriander. Right. Now I'm going to get the coconut milk in. This coconut milk just makes it a nice gentle curry. Once we get this amalgamated, then we'll put our meatballs back in and give them 15 to 20 minutes. Because remember, as I said, we didn't cook our meatballs through fully. All we were doing was browning them off, so they'll be raw inside. What I've also done, pre-starting the video, I peeled, chopped, and pre-steamed. You can boil past steam your potatoes. They're actually going now too. With it. Okay, just stir them through. Okay, there we go. Oh, we're going to have a full pot here when we put all our meatballs in. The other danger about if you overcook when you're cooking your meatballs initially, if you keep them cooking and cook them right through, the temptation is while you're waiting to do the next step, you'll start nibbling the meatballs and end up with not much left to go in your curry. Not that I've ever done that, hey Jack?
No.
We love meatballs of any type here, whether they're going into Italian, going into curries or just meatballs to eat. Okay. Just going to settle them all into the sauce. I'm going to let that come up to the boil. As soon as it's just starting to bubble now, I'll just get it to bubble while on camera. Because as soon as it starts to bubble and boil, I'll turn it down and just let everything simmer together. The longer you want it to let it simmer, the more flavour you'll get into your potatoes. Remember, they're parboiled already. The more flavour you'll get into the potatoes, and we'll finish cooking the meatballs through to the center. Okay, we'll come back in a little while. We'll just turn this down right now, and we'll see you back here in about 20 minutes or so. Okay, we've had this bubbling away for about 5 minutes or so. What I'm going to do now, put some spinach onto this. There's a 120 gram pack, which we'll put most of it on now. These are actually quite large baby spinach leaves. You can actually use some for garnish at the end, but I probably won't, so it's way big. Now what I'm going to do is just sit them on top like that. Put the lid on, and I'll let these steam down. As you know, spinach collapses and that'll just virtually disappear in the pan. That much will almost disappear. But we'll let them steam down for a little while. As they will, then I'll stir them through. Haven't got a lot of stirring space in this pan, as you saw, but we'll just do it gently. So we'll come back when that's finished. All right, here we are back again. You have a look at this. You see how our about 100 grams or so of spinach has just wilted and virtually disappeared into the bowl, into the fry pan. We just microwaved up some Uncle Ben's rice. If I'm doing a rice for a large group of people, I'll always use the rice cooker and make a big batch. It was just for us. I just use these little 90-second microwave rices. They're pretty damn good, I find. And so much more convenient, and there's not so much left over. So what I'll do, I'll be very careful, they're very hot. This is a rather nice, this is a coconut rice. Okay. Get some of our potatoes and meatballs onto that. That enough, Jake?
Yep, that's heaps. Lovely.
Garnish. There we have Rogan Josh meatballs. Bit of potato in there, bit of spinach in there on rice. And here we are over here. We've I've got a few poppadoms, which I always make these in the microwave oven, about 30 seconds to 60 seconds, depending on what size you have. Serve it with your chutney or pickle of choice. This is a mango and ginger chutney, which is rather nice. This is a standard fruit chutney. Whatever your beast is, serve it up. And there we are, enjoy that. Nice, simple, and it works really well.